Hello everyone, it's Alicia again, author of the book Don't Be a Stranger and consultant for the Rodan and Field skincare business. And as you have mentioned in previous videos, I really want to use my channel to help other people invest in themselves and invest in others, and whether that's from the inside out or the outside in. So welcome. Today I'm going to be reading another excerpt out of the book Changes That Heal by Dr. Henry Cloud. Specifically now I'm going to be reading out of the chapter on what are boundaries. There is a section starting on page 93, having no boundaries. It starts with a little excerpt from an actual case. Why don't you just tell your mother that you don't want to come home for Thanksgiving? You're 30 years old. That's old enough to choose to spend a holiday with your friends, I said. But that would mean making her very angry, Sandy replied. I could never do that. It's mean. Well, how can you make her angry? Why do you think that you have so much power? I asked. Well, if I didn't go home for the holidays, that would make her mad. It's as simple as that. Then I guess you think you have the power to make her happy as well, is that right? I wondered out loud. Well, of course, Sandy replied. If I do what she wants, I make her happy. Well, you're a very powerful woman, I said. It must be frightening to have that much power, but if you were that powerful, then why don't you have the power to make yourself feel good? I don't know how to answer that. That's why I come to see you, so you can make me feel better. Oh, I see. Making your mother feel good makes you feel bad. Then you come to see me, and then I'll make you feel good. Well, what am I supposed to do if that makes you feel bad? If that makes me feel bad, I asked. Maybe I could call your mother and she could make me feel better. You're crazy, she said. How is she going to make you feel better? Well, I don't know, I answered, but as long as everyone is responsible for anyone else's feelings, I'm sure she would try to find a way. Imagine what it must feel like to live a life of being responsible for someone else's feelings and out of control of your own. If we look at Sandy's situation more closely, we see a basic problem. She didn't know where her responsibility ended and her mother's began. In short, she did not have a life apart from her mother's. This is the essence of boundaries. Where do I end and where does someone else begin? We are responsible for our own attitudes, for they exist inside of our property line. They are within our hearts, not someone else's. God repeatedly tells us to examine and take responsibility for the attitudes and beliefs that govern our lives. They form the structure of our personality, and in the beginning of life, we soak up attitudes. As we mature, we need to take more and more responsibility for making sure that our opinions are ours and not someone else's. We choose them. When we take responsibility for our attitudes, we begin to get our house in order. We can make sure that we have inside our property line what we want. Sandy, however, was taking responsibility for her mother's attitude, something we should never do. Everyone must do exactly what I want. I should always get my way. When things didn't go her mother's way and her mother got angry, Sandy felt responsible for her mother's anger. But this is a gross confusion of boundaries. Sandy's mother's anger was caused by her own attitude, not Sandy's behavior. Her mother's position was outside of Sandy's property line, and therefore outside of both Sandy's control and responsibility. Trying to take responsibility for anger and attitudes not her own put Sandy in a bind. She was trying to control her mother's state of being, trying to make her happy. In taking responsibility for her mother's attitude, Sandy was not taking responsibility for her own. Sandy's attitude could be stated something like this. I am responsible for another person's pain. I should always give in to people's demands. Sandy was not working on what she did. Sandy was not working on what she did have the responsibility to change, which was herself. This is why she could feel so powerful and powerless at the same time. She had taken responsibility for something she could not control, i.e. her mother, and ignored something she could control, which was herself. Our attitudes and beliefs are our responsibility, not someone else's. Our attitudes and beliefs other people's attitudes and beliefs are their responsibility, not ours. I think this is often a difficult concept for people because they think, well, how is it not my responsibility? Or how is it my responsibility to kind of manage myself? How could I not be upset when so-and-so acts a certain way, especially around the holidays, things get triggered. The truth is we cannot control another person's responsibility or their behavior, their actions, their words. What we can control is how we respond to it. We also can't necessarily control the feelings that rise up in us when we feel triggered or activated by somebody else's words, actions, or behaviors. But we can control what we do with it. We can control whether we react. We can control what comes out of our mouth, especially when we ask for the help of a higher power to guard my mouth, right? Guard my mouth, guard what comes out of it, help guide the words that I end up expressing, help guide my behaviors, and ask for that guidance and support, and really monitor yourself, recognize those feelings, and be mindful of how you respond to them. That can be truly life-changing. Thanks for being a part of the channel. Bye, everybody.